I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know, the type up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samara Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samara Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samara. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samara Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Tom, who is your biggest Pack Your Knives draft bust?
Oh, I've had a lot of them, Kevin. I thought about Tyler Anderson, but I'm going to go with Natalie from Top Chef season, 16, Kentucky? I drafted her first overall because she won the first elimination challenge, and she made a lemon curd pie that got her kicked off in the very next episode after I drafted her number 1 overall. So lemon curd pie, more like lemon turd pie.
I hate to say it, Tom, but mine is Nene. She is my Jimmer Fredette. Had such high hopes and just could not put it together. I still think she is the best Top Chef contestant to utterly fail twice, but that is unfortunately the answer. I think that was the All-Star season, her second time around. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, it's our favorite day, even more than the finale, I think, if we're being honest with the listeners. You and I love nothing more than a good snake draft. It's early season. Everybody's a contender. It's all aspirations and hope. Before we start, though, for our new listeners or just our old listeners who need a recap, explain the draft. Explain what we're doing here. This is sort of the basis of the show itself.
Yeah, when we went on that run around the Rose Bowl, what was that, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, Kevin, I said, wouldn't it be cool if we did a draft after the first episode of Top Chef and we created a podcast out of that? And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do a draft. We're drafting 14 contestants because one was eliminated in last night's episode in the premiere, a shocker, and we'll get into that later. But we're going to do a snake draft, which means the first overall pick selects, which is going to be you this year because you won the fantasy season. Congratulations. The first time you have done so. You are awarded with the first overall pick in the 2022 Pack Your Knives draft. And then we go snake, which means I get the second pick and the third pick, and then you get the fourth and the fifth, and so on and so forth until we finish the entire draft. So, Kevin, How does it feel to get the number one pick? Are you nervous right now?
I am a little nervous. I'm defending a title here. So I am a little nervous also because, frankly, Tom, we're not very good at this. So I'm trying to right the ship. I'm reading Soup Forecasting, a book I'm sure you've read about sort of the art of predictions, the science of predictions, how to make better predictions. And so I'm really hoping here I can at least, as they say, beat the chimp. The famous experiment where they had these expert predictors make predictions, and on the other side was a chimp and a dartboard, and the chimp won because humans are terrible at predictions. So I'm hoping that my predictive powers are better here. I have submitted my number one pick to the commissioner, and here it is.
Thank you all for joining us here at the Season 19 Top Chef Draft. The first chef testant off the board to Team Arnovitz from the greatest city in the world, San Francisco, California. It is Robert Hernandez.
Whoa! I don't think this is a surprise, Tom. You better than anyone, as our Statmeister, know that you can do a lot worse than picking the winner of the first challenge. There is a very strong track record. I don't think this surprises you at all. I'm kind of going chalk here, and I'll tell you why. I think, obviously, as I said, he won. Kristen Kish had a very good analysis of his gnocchi with braised pot roast and Parmesan cream, which was his winning dish in the elimination challenge. And that was that it was both comforting and elevated. And in thinking about that, that is kind of how you win on this show. Every once in a while, like the really elevated people, think about Brian Voltaggio. Some people perceive him to be a little soulless. It's all about elevation, about all the elevation, none of the comfort. And I think the chefs that really make their mark on this show have that combination that Kristen Kish just beautifully stated in very succinct terms. Comfort plus elevation. That appears to be Robert's gear. He won the first round. I'm all over it.
Oh, you talk about comfort. I am feeling so comforted by your number one pick. He was number 6 on my board. Number 6.
Tell me why.
I'm a little burned. Okay. In Super Forecasting, they probably spent many, many pages talking about, I don't know, recency bias, maybe some, confirmation bias here, where I've gone with the stat that 33% of the first challenge winners end up winning the entire Top Chef. It's probably the most successful round. If you win the first round, that's a pretty good harbinger of whether you're going to win Top Chef overall in the end of the day. However, the last 2 times we have done this, we've gotten burned. You picked Sarah last year.
But isn't that recency bias?
I know, Kevin. 4th pick last year in the Pack Your Knives draft. We actually made a trade where you got the first pick and you went with Shota. Then I went with Gabe. Then I went with Dawn, and we made a trade later in the season involving Dawn. But you went with the 4th pick with Sarah, who won the first challenge, and she ended up not winning the whole entire thing. But me personally, I went with Natalie first overall the year before because she won the first challenge, citing the stat that it's very predictive. If you win the first challenge, you're going to win the whole damn thing, or more likely than not. Then I did Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson got booted 3 episodes later. Natalie booted an episode later. So I'm starting to rethink myself as like maybe draft, for so many years in the NBA, you wanted that big time center. You needed the 7-footer, and then the game changed and maybe you didn't get the center anymore. Maybe those trends start to die. So not only am I burned and I'm feeling a little recency bias of picking that first episode winner, but also there are things that really scared me about Robert Hernandez in this episode. I thought the Magical Elves did an amazing job of surprise here. They introduced Robert Hernandez by saying he hasn't cooked in a kitchen since 2019. Kevin, he says he hasn't been in a kitchen for 3 years.
But here's the thing. I think you have to consider COVID. I think, unfortunately, there are probably a lot of chefs, at the upper mid-level who haven't cooked. The restaurant business was decimated. And I just think you have to put an asterisk by that. And I think it's riding a bike. I mean, hey, clearly it didn't affect him.
Small sample size, Kevin. Small sample size. I mean, it didn't affect him in this one episode, but you're forgetting the fact that he dropped the succotash onto the floor and then he hid the pork away from his teammates. Does that sound like a good teammate to you?
This is an interesting, and I'm curious to hear your feeling on this. I found, given the nature of the quick fire, that it wasn't very conducive to scouting. In other words, generally speaking, you and I used the first episode to sort of essentially cultivate opinions about who these chefs are, right? And what do we go by? We go by the 2 challenges. And I thought the nature of the quick fire challenge is not a complaint. I thought it was a really fun challenge, but it didn't give us a lot of insight. I don't think it was the perfect conditions to really tell who's working and who's not, or whose stuff is working and who's not.
Kevin, did he drop the corn or not?
Yeah, he dropped the corn, but you know what? I have my own bias. I wanted a nice gay in my first pick, so there you go. I got a nice gay.
When he goes up to the quick fire challenge table with Kristen, it was Dawn actually for the quick fire, and he says, "Nothing I made it onto the plate." Big red flags. Big red flags for me. So I actually had Robert Hernandez down on my board. Came up clutch. I mean, I did not see him winning that episode. I thought Sarah was going to pull it out. But in this instance, I was kind of stunned. And he was too. I think there's a lack of confidence that might be humility, depending on how you look at things. He didn't seem all that excited about winning the first episode. He almost got scared. He said something to the effect of, "I don't want this. I just hope to live up to this expectation. I don't want to be out, ruined in the next couple episodes." And the crowd in that break room, we'll talk about the break room later, the stew room, he was talking about how, "Why aren't you smiling ear to ear?" And he was kind of a little bit scared about winning the first episode. So to me, I kind of read that, Kevin, as he doesn't feel like he belongs. He's feeling a little intimidated, and I need some more confidence out of Robert for me to put him in the top 3 of my big board. He was top 6. So I'm actually kind of thrilled right now. I'm feeling comforted and elevated right now. I'm flying high.
Well, the beautiful thing about this show is we'll see. All of these questions will be answered, Tom.
Team Haberstra has submitted our pick to the commissioner, and we are ready.
With the second pick in the Top Chef Season 19 draft, Team Haberstra selects Ashley Shanty from Asheville, North Carolina. Huge surprise, going with the Carolina pick.
Oh, I love Ashley. She was a great team player in the quick fire, understanding the team dynamics. You always want to see a top chef who understands the game, but also brings super talent. She's a James Beard Award nominee. She has this pop-up, so you know that she's starting to think on the fly. She can think big and think small. I like her for the Restaurant Wars with that pop-up background. She's also been in some pretty amazing kitchens. And of course, that dish, the kitfa, it was stellar. It was a stellar dish, and I think she might have had the best dish of the evening if she didn't have some better teammates onto that squad. So Ashley, I think she's got it. I think she's got the composure. When she made that quick fire and essentially said, "I'm going to create a canvas for them to build upon. I'm not going to do something specific like Leah did, where Leah was like, I'm going to give a very strict directions here for my team, but you can't communicate." Ashley understood you can't communicate. So instead of making a very specific, narrow-minded path for your teammates, start giving them a nice bed, a canvas for which to paint on. So I really love Ashley. Of course, you're going to say Homer pick, me in North Carolina, Asheville.
No. Let me tell you, I love the pick for you. Kitfo is delicious. Ate a fair amount of it in Ethiopia. She did it a little differently. That lovely egg yolk sauce, which is actually kind of more of a Korean interpretation of steak tartare. I mean, look, steak tartare is fantastic. But I'm with you. I think one of the impressive things is it's one of those dishes, I think, on Top Chef that's easy to get an A-, B+, hard to get an A. She got an A. Made that kari sauce. It also had, I think, the good sense. And these are the little details that I think matter. Had the good sense for that red rice crumble. You want a little bit of crunch. Like she considered everything. Her component parts were great. I'm a big fan. Well, certainly would have been in my 2 and 3. And so I like the pick for you.
The pick is in. The third pick in the Top Chef draft, Tom Haberstroh selects from one of the 5 boroughs, Boodalow.
Yeah, that's the sound of upset Kevin. He's a little bitter right now.
That is the sound of a man crossing a name off of his big board.
You know what I should have done? I think the winner gets a choice. I should have taken the 2 and the 3. It's always the better call, isn't it?
Yeah, last year you traded the 2 and the 3 for the 1 and the 4. And actually, I picked the winner in Gabe Morales with the second pick last year and actually picked, I think, the 3rd place finisher in overall points in Dawn Burrell, but I ended up trading her. Man, what can I say about Buddha? Really great character on the show. He's Australian. He trained in Paris before he actually knew how to speak the language. He didn't speak a word of French when he was like a teenager. He was in a kitchen when he was 14 at one of the top restaurants. This is a prodigy written all over it. And that dessert dish, the spotted dick, Kevin, I don't even know what that is. I think you can probably fill me in on what a spotted dick dessert is.
Why do you say that?
Because you always research these dishes, Kevin.
All right, never mind. All right,
I wasn't alleging anything about you. But what I was going for, Kevin, is he took a big risk with that immunity that he got after the quick fire, and Tom Colicchio was blown away by this dish that was a dessert. And yes, he's married to a pastry chef, so that's going to give him a leg up here in those challenges that you might have to lean dessert. I just love the creativity. I love the global, international culinary background that he flexes. And I just think he's a really strong prodigy here. The Luka Doncic of my selections this year. I'm really excited about Buddha.
And just like Luka Doncic, got passed over by 2 picks.
By the way, was my very close number 2. I mean, really, I actually considered going. I just went with the odds this time, but I love Buddha. And I think, look, if you want to test the mettle of a chef in episode 1, it's they have immunity and what do they do with it? In some ways, that is a great way to really get a sense of somebody's just kind of heart as a contestant, because you got nothing to lose. You can throw anything against the wall. And by the way, we've seen a lot of immunity dishes clunk and they say, hey, why not? You throw it out there, that's fine. To execute it is a real skill. I'm ready for my 4th pick.
Wait a minute. Did we just skipped over the spotted dick? All right, fine.
Spotted dick is a dessert. It's a British dessert. I've never known a British dessert to be any good. Apparently his was. Look, I didn't know it. I don't know a lot about desserts. And when I see the words pudding and treacle, I kind of tune out.
Quintessential English steamed pudding served with a creamy vanilla custard sauce, a thoroughly authentic recipe, or I'm just reading from a website. And then he inserted beef into that.
No. So apparently it does, the dessert itself does call for, and I might not be pronouncing it correctly, suet, which is the hard fat of a beef or mutton or lamb found around the loins and kidneys. So the dessert, the spotted dick itself actually calls for
this guy's brilliant.
Beef fat, which is the most British thing ever.
Okay, now that we got spotted dick out of the way, let's go with the number 4 pick in the draft.
With the number 4 pick, Team Arnovitz selects Sarah Welch from Detroit, Michigan.
Really like her game. You might say she was another one who lacked confidence. You made a big point to say that, hey, she was shocked to be up there. So there was a little bit of the humble bragging as well there. That tallow seared flat iron steak. The plate looked gorgeous. Again, it looked like that combination of comfort and elevation that we're looking for. Little details like the agrodolce shallots. She's thinking about kind of, let me add some acid to this dish because we got rich on rich. It just, that looked like a dish that wins weekly competition. She has a great resume, been running her own place, Beard semifinalist. She's had 2 successful restaurants, well-trained, and just a fan. I think she might be the Adrian of the season, kind of building confidence as she goes. But already I like what I see.
Oh, I do too. Kevin, my big board right now, it was 1 Ashley, 2 Buddha, 3 Sarah. So we're pretty much copacetic here. We're in lockstep with the exception of your number 1 overall pick. Sarah's great. Good team player. I noticed the moment when she she was, trying out the gnocchi, and she was helping out, wanted to spoon feed Robert like a baby at some point. I like her charm. I like her presence up on the judges' table. When they were like, "You look like you're shocked," you know what she said? "Well, I'm surrounded by so many amazing chefs in this room. You can kind of get lost in that." She could have, gone in a number of different directions, but she gave her fellow contestants, a little compliment there. And I thought that was a very mature way of looking at things. I think she's got a lot of composure, and I'm really upset that you got her here with the number 4 pick. She was number 3 on my board behind Buddha. So yeah, I'm upset to see Sarah off the board.
The 5th pick in the Top Chef draft, keeping Austin weird all by herself. It's Joe Chan.
This is a part of the field where I have a kind of a crowded tier. I'm not going to say I'm not confident about this pick. I think she's the best chef left on the board. But I'm now at a point in my board, and I don't know where your tiers are, where, there's some clustering here. But I really like what she did. She is a chef with confidence, right? Like that is, if we want to draw the contrast here, the black garlic rubbed ribeye shows a lot of sophistication. The kari kari, kind of the Filipino peanut sauce with it. She did a sophisticated dish with a, sort of a basic protein. And I like it. I like the confidence. I think she could really grow in this series. Like the resume, I'm feeling reasonably good. But let me say that there were 3 contestants I could have taken here.
Yeah, Jo Chan, right in the same mix that you had for her. She was on the winning team in the quickfire with Buddha and Monique. I really like that squad. There's nothing really negative here about Jo. She's really strong. And she's the dog pick. So I'm not surprised that you went with Jo, and she's got 2 dogs. And so I figured, if I have a bias, a hometown bias, a homer bias, you have a dog bias there. So I'm not surprised you took Jo here, with the 5th pick. And I am going to send in my file for the 6th pick here. And
the pick is in. From the rainy Pacific Northwest. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered with 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination, because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in hose protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts. No monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Comes Luke Kalpin to join Team Haberstroh.
I'm thrilled.
Oh, comfort and elevation from Kevin. Luke couldn't get the plate, finished in the quick fire. You know what it reminds me of, Kevin? You know what that reminds me of? Dawn Burrell. First episode in last season, Dawn had time management issues.
Yeah, but her shit was good.
Like, that's the difference.
I didn't pick him number 1. I didn't pick him number 2 or number 3 on my board. That's why he's down here, is he forgot to put the, he got a little flustered there in the quick fire. But I actually think his resume and the elements of his dish, when Kristen Kish was, evaluating his dish with the seaweed, the salinity or whatever, I thought, hey, she's going to like this dish. And then she was like, yeah, there wasn't any flavor. There wasn't any umami in there. And I was like, oh, no, I kind of was thinking she was going to like that dish. So I think the elements are there for Luke. He worked at the number 1 restaurant in the world. And I think he was fairly humble about it. He wasn't, beating his chest about it like past Top Chef contestants can do. And Luke, I think he's got a lot of upside here. And with the 6th pick, I feel like that's where you want to be is, in years past, do we know where Joe Flam was he was supposed to be the number 1 pick, but no, he was in the middle of the pack. Melissa King. This is where the upside picks happen. And I feel like with Luke and his resume, I feel like there's a lot of upside here.
I can't believe you fell for the resume stuff. Noma. I don't care if he cooked the Last Supper, okay? He couldn't get food on the plate. The seaweed cured steak excited nobody.
Sounded good, though.
Hey, I'll eat crow. Hell, I'll eat seaweed cured steak if this turns out to be good. It was one of those picks that made me excited. Not impressed. I don't care where he cooked. I'm just shocked. Shocked.
You're shocked. Oh, wow.
Shocked.
Where did you have him on your board? I'm curious.
14.
What?
14. He is a mistake waiting to happen.
So am I falling prey to credentialism here?
Yeah, well, the funny thing about his credentials are, and by the way, he seems like a great guy. Like, this ain't personal or anything, but like, where's he been?
The number one restaurant in the world!
No, I'm saying recently. Like, what is he doing right now?
Probably winning Top Chef or celebrating being a Top Chef winner, Kevin.
All right.
From his resume, after 8 years at Noma, Luke decided to head back home to Seattle. When feeding himself, Luke's everyday go-to dish is a sandwich.
Should I fix you some sandwiches?
I don't want any fucking sandwiches. What is it with you fixing fucking sandwiches?
Yeah, he's making sandwiches for himself and sitting on the couch and playing video games while all these other people are doing these pop-ups in New York and in Nashville. So anyway, I'm just giving you a little grief.
Oh, man.
A little trash talk here.
I could have gone without the whole sandwich line. I mean, I love a good sandwich, but from my Top Chef winner, that his big claim to fame is...
He's feeding himself. Like, isn't the definition of a chef that you feed other people?
And sometimes he's not good at that. He forgot to put the dish on the menu in time. So, oh man, this is okay. You know what? It's a roller coaster. Number 7 pick. I'm going to file it right now into the chat here. Submit it to the commissioner. Is Ernst & Young confirming all these picks? Let's hope so. All right.
Oh,
whoa.
Let me get rid of that. Take it out. Take it out.
Huh?
Okay. It has been submitted.
From across the bay, E40's hometown of Vallejo, California, Monique Fabes.
Yeah, maybe I have a little bias for desserts. You know, the fact that she owns a bakery with her husband and during the pandemic opened that shop up. I thought she was really good on this episode. Good team player. Seemed to be around a lot of success with Buddha and Joe Chan on that yellow team. Look, I think at this point, I can sell myself on any one of the contestants, and I know you can't be sold on Luke, and I get that, but I like Monique. I like my pick with Monique at this point. She's number 5 on my board.
Yeah, it's a nice pick. She was in that cluster for me as well that I talked about. They seem to be impressed. You know, it's hard, and again, not just the quick fire, but a team competition does make it much harder to assess these contestants, right? Like if you put her on the winning team, all of a sudden, is she going 3rd or 4th, right? It does seem like, this was the hardest draft so far to handicap, in my opinion.
It's a lot of contestants. It's a lot of writing down. It's a lot of the same, how many other beef in a green and like maybe a starch on a plate did we see? I mean, it was just beef after beef after beef. And it was hard to differentiate the chefs based on their performance because we didn't get to really see a lot of creativity when they're working with essentially the same protein. I feel solid about this Monique pick. I feel like there are not any red flags with Monique, that there are a lot of chefs on here that saw a lot of weaknesses that I didn't want to have anything part of. But I'm curious to see where you go with your 8th pick.
With the 8th pick in the Top Chef draft, submitted as quickly as possible by Team Arnovitz, we are going to Los Angeles, California for Jackson Kolb.
So when I came into this draft, I said, there ain't no way I'm taking any guy who doesn't have a sense of taste and a sense of smell. Like if ever there was a handicap in this competition. But then we watched him work. I loved his comportment. His dish clearly impressed the judges. Incidentally, like the Tonado, I just had in Chicago last Wednesday, dinner at the Loyalist, and had a beet tartare with Tonado that was absolutely delicious. Tuna aioli, and it adds such a, it's not what you would expect with a beef, or for that matter, a beet tartare. But he really did well here. So if there is a problem with sense of smell, sense of taste,
a little problem,
it ain't affecting him. And, honestly, if I didn't have that information, I'd probably go a little higher with him, 5th or 6th. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't know what to do with Jackson. I think the pick that you gave him right here makes a lot of sense, given the fact that he performed well, but I can't get over the fact that he has no sense of smell and no sense of taste. And kind of a little game theory here, a question for you real quick is, do you approve of him not telling and being transparent about this disability of his with his teammates? Do you think is it prudent for him to tell everybody, I can't taste or smell? Just a heads up here. If you are on my team, I'm going to need you to help me out here.
I don't think you have to disclose that. I think, hey, do the job. Do the job.
You know, I also think, Kevin, we're both homers. I think this is just you wanted the LA guy, right?
Actually, no. I mean, again, it's West Side. I mean, it might as well be
Siberia.
Might as well be Elmira, New York. I don't, it doesn't mean anything.
One last thing here on Jackson. When he reviews Robert's dish, the gnocchi, he says the gnocchi was good. The guy can't taste. He can't taste. And I know it's a texture thing.
Well, I mean, he didn't say it was bad.
I'm just laughing at the fact that he's giving reviews about how something tastes, or at least it was good, when the dude can't taste or smell. Like, at some point, this has got to be a CBA violation of Top Chef. Is you're telling teammates, hey, that was a great dish. I thought it really great high notes of cherry and rhubarb in there, when he can't taste anything.
I don't know. I think we're making a little bit too much of this. I think sometimes instinct. I mean, we've seen it before. People who lack a specific sense have actually acute talents that are compensated in other ways. So
fine.
I ain't worried.
With the 9th pick in the Top Chef draft, Team Arnovitz selects the hometown hero, Evelyn Garcia from Houston, Texas.
Yeah, we're now at the point in the draft where, I like this contestant. I'm not going to make a great defense. She nailed her dish. People seem to like the charred eggplant salad, so she knows how to put together a plate. She nailed the protein, and people were generally pleased. Like, we're now at we're frankly in the bottom half of the draft, and there's a lot of stuff here to like. She does have the hometown advantage. Do we know that there's a hometown advantage, Tom?
That's a great question. She did mention in there that it was an advantage that she was in the hometown, and I'm trying to jog my memory here. I don't know if I've studied this, but this might be a good one for the next episode, is whether there is actually a hometown advantage. Last year was Portland, and of course we had Gabriel Pescuzzi, who is also from Portland. He did fairly well. That's a great question. Let's put a pin on that, Maze and Kevin, and let's try to figure out if there is actually a hometown favorite or hometown advantage for Evelyn here. She certainly believes so.
Tom, I'd also love some analytics on what number pick in the draft usually ends up on top, where the previous champions have come from.
So Gabe was second pick last year. Melissa was 8th. Kelsey Barnard was 10th, and Joe Flam was 6th. So of the last 4 years, it's gone 2, 8, 10, and 6. So it's really all over the place. Like Kevin said at the top, we're not very good at this. Predicting after the first episode is maybe a fool's errand, but it is really fun to be a fool sometimes.
Sounds like maybe you guys should just burn that first pick. You know what I'm saying? Just get somebody out there.
Well, Shota was amazing for Kevin as the first pick last year.
You don't have to be one of the 33% who win. I mean, I imagine the overall rating, with the exception of a few of your outliers here, that the performance overall of the number one pick is pretty strong.
Yeah, Shota had 79 points in the fantasy scoring last year, and Gabe had 87. Basically, even though Gabe won the whole thing, they were pretty much tied in terms of the overall performance. The whole season swung with my trade of Dawn and Kiki for Maria and Brittany. It was just tough. I don't want to make the same mistake again. I'm a little snake bitten here, Kevin. If you offer me a trade, I might think extra long about doing a deal with Kevin Arnovitz in Top Chef after that one.
All right.
With the 10th pick from New York, Team Haberstroh selects chef testant Jay Jung.
Yeah, this one I had a little bit of trouble here because her on-court presence was not very strong. At the judges' table, she was a little rattled at the judges' table, seemed a little bit emotional. Maybe the language barriers playing into that. She can't communicate as well as some others and expressing, some of her feelings over the dish. However, I really do love her profile of, Cajun Korean food. It is just very, very different. We've seen it be successful in the past where someone has a specific, strength of two very disparate seeming culinary backgrounds and blending it and having a vision every time out. So I'm curious to see. I don't know. I think she's got some upside here. Might be a little bit of a value pick. Didn't really show very well on the court, like I said, but Jae Jung with the Korean New Orleans influences, the Cajun Korean blend. I'm kind of digging it. So Jay, I'm with you.
Yeah, you talk about sleeper picks, and I think this is one of them. She has a lot of upside here. By the way, people love that pop-up. They absolutely love it. It's creative. She works with a lot of different flavors. And again, I thought the instinct to do sort of a bibimbap. I don't quite understand sort of the North Korean interpretation. I know very little about North Korean food. I think most people don't. But the one thing that did stand out in the air is, and they mentioned it, is just like, showcase the beef. Know the challenge. And it's something we talk about a lot. Know the challenge. I want to see that chefs understand what the judges are looking for and to have the instinct. Like, you're not just cooking a dish, you're cooking within the parameters of the challenge.
Right. And I think maybe a little bit of Dawn Burrell here from last year is she gets a slap on the wrist about her, flavor and trusting her background rather than doing something new. Stay true to yourself. And so she got that pep talk right out of the gate. And she might have been a little scared of being kicked off on the first episode, but I'm hoping that she was scared stiff and then now is going to find herself on this show. So Jae Jung for my pick. And then I have another one here, Commissioner Mays.
With the 11th pick in the Top Chef draft, Team Haberstroh is going back to Brooklyn for Sam Kang.
Yeah, Sam Kang. He's just adorable. He's great. He feels like Kermit the Frog to me, where he's just, he's almost like a puppet out there bouncing around the room, aimlessly wandering during a quick fire. People are a little weirded out by him, but he's super charming. He's someone who, I'm still trying to figure out who he is as a chef. He's got a background from Momofuku, and he's also a kid educator. I like this pick here simply because he's fun to have on the team. He looks like someone who's going to be potentially the fan favorite of this season. Got a lot of character, a really cool personality, and someone who lifts other people up. I just think for the locker room chemistry, Kevin, I need a guy like Sam Kang to lift everyone's spirits. You need that kind of guy to just bring everyone together. And I think Sam's going to be really good for my fantasy team.
Yeah, might just kind of skate for a few weeks just on personality alone. I'm not sure he's a Muppet, but he is clearly a cultural plus on this show. The steak with panzanella, it was fine.
All right, so he said a line, you can taste crazy in food. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Does that mean that like if you're crazy or unhinged, you can taste it? Or if you're like really rattled and you're running around the room? Because he said it at the, whether there's magical elves placing it and editing it out of context or not, he said it as he was just strolling very calmly, pleasantly walking around the kitchen, getting his food for the quick fire in under 10 minutes. And everyone was looking at him like, are you nuts? Like, go run, like burn a calorie out there, please. And he says, you can taste crazy in food. So, maybe a little too laid back, maybe too laissez-faire for me to get him in the top 6 or top 10 in this draft. But at this pick, I'm actually feeling pretty good.
With the 12th pick in the Top Chef draft, Team Arnovitz selects from the Dirty South, Nick Wallace, Jackson, Mississippi.
I make this pick without any great enthusiasm. He didn't screw anything up. Braising is pretty easy. The sweet potato dumpling, I didn't get, unfortunately, any commentary from the judges on that. I mean, that was sort of something I would love to have known. I mean, it's an interesting take, right? You don't just put a sweet potato puree or everything. You kind of construct something. Would love to know what they thought of that because it would have given me more information about some of his technical skills. Charred veggies. There was really nothing all that interesting about that plate, but there's also nothing offensive about that plate. He's not a guy who made a mistake, right? I mean, then that's or exercised any sort of bad judgment.
Yeah, the braised beef, he made a tribute to his grandmother's recipe and said, this is my grandmother's dish. And one of the judges said, yeah, well, she probably made it with oxtail so that it wouldn't be so tough. And it's not a huge mistake, but that's the only ding I could think of, is that he used a cut of the beef that probably wouldn't work very well. Which reminds me, another moment of the show I couldn't get over was at one point Robert was using like a grater or a sifter to cut the beef. Did you notice that when he was trying to? I was like, what is he doing? It just seemed amateurish. But then now, as I'm thinking about it, he won the whole thing, and I kind of, maybe in retrospect, he's just resourceful. He's MacGyvering the kitchen, and maybe you need that a little bit from your chef.
Again, and I don't do this kind of cooking. Is it possible that to kind of separate the meat, that there's some sort of some fat that needs to be broken down, or some sinews that need to be broken down, and you do that through the sifter? That's my only explanation. I'd love to get a chef on here to kind of explain that one.
Yeah.
With the 13th pick in the Top Chef draft, Team Arnovitz selects Damar Brown from the south side of Chicago.
What does give me cause for concern is the commentary on the mushrooms. Again, roasted rare sirloin. I mean, a lot. You mentioned it earlier, and again, a weird part of this challenge is, I'm not going to say that cooking beef is easy, but there's not a lot of, as you say, creativity involved. Hey, he did a roasted rare sirloin. I think most of us can execute that. But the mushrooms had this slather of fat, or he went with the vinegar sauce. Who knows what it was? On the other hand, he is at Virtue, which is a really well-regarded restaurant in Chicago. I couldn't get a table, and his mentor, Eric Williams, just was named Beard nominee just last week. So good pedigree. Wasn't very impressive. Very well could bounce back. Fine for me as my final pick.
Which means, Kevin Mays, final pick of the Pack Your Knives 5th annual draft is?
So this is interesting. Not only does Kevin get the first pick, but he also saddles Tom with the last pick. With the 14th pick in the Top Chef draft, Kevin Arnovitz selects for Tom Haberstroh, it's Stephanie Miller. Just from a cursory glance at this list, I had a feeling that the chef from Bismarck, North Dakota would not be high on people's lists.
Thank you, Mays. You know what? Stephanie, she got on the wrong team. The quick fire just didn't work with Jay and with Leah. She was trying to figure out where she fit in. She was like, you know what? I'm not really into the whole Asian flavor thing. I'll do a bok choy, but a real cardinal sin, just forgetting the bok choy. It's one thing to forget the bok choy. It's another to not own up to it in the beginning and have Don Burrell at the table say, hey, what happened to the bok choy? Oh, that's the one ingredient I forgot. Big red flag for me. I appreciate a little honesty. You come in, the menu is right in front of you, Kevin. It says bok choy, and then when the dish comes out, you should get out in front of it and say, look, didn't have time to plate the bok choy, just things got away from me, but I really like the other elements of this dish. I just wanted to be transparent with you. But instead waits for Don to say, hey, where is that bok choy? And that made me sick to my stomach to watch a potential Team Haberstroh chef Teston to do that. But that's why she's at 14. She has that mistake with the bok choy. But also, I just worry about confidence in there. North Dakota, the fact that she, grew up on a ranch and she basically ate meat and potatoes as a kid. And yes, she's going to have a much more diverse and much more expansive culinary palate than that. But in that same vein, like if the thing is beef and maybe potatoes, you should nail it. It was a good tasting dish, but I'm worried about the whole bok choy thing. I thought she might have been getting sent home, but of course she hangs on for dear life and she stays on with Leah going home. Kevin, what were your thoughts on Stephanie versus Leah here?
I had a fleeting thought that perhaps her not getting the bok choy on the plate was an expression of resentment, kind of Freudian, that she just kind of resented having to kind of abide by the sensibilities of the other two people. She seemed to be kind of unhappy about it. I'm with you in the sense that, okay, fine, you're a meat and potatoes chef. Fine. Execute, make the best meat and potatoes you can make. It wasn't all that good, though. I mean, the chefs actually said, or the judges rather, actually said that as a plate it worked. So, but it certainly didn't wow anyone. I know that there are certain flavor profiles that aren't native to certain people. It's Top Chef. You got to work with it. I know you're from a rectangular state and in the deep north, but yeah, this is the show. Have you been watching the show? It has been, as a point of emphasis, highlighting international cuisine. So I know it's like, figure it out. You're a chef. You can do Asian flavors. There are a million things with steak that you can do to bring out Asian flavors. It is not a tragedy. It is not a huge insurmountable thing. I had no interest in this contestant. None.
Yeah. I just like to see your big board, like pros, like really good with beef, lived on a ranch, cons, from a rectangular state.
No, it's only a problem if it's a problem. We had a lovely meal in Fargo, North Dakota in 2016. So, I have no problem with it unless they have a problem with it.
Maze, do you have the teams laid out in front of you? Can we review the draft before we talk about Leah?
So, Kevin selected Robert, Sarah, Joe, Jackson, Evelyn, Nick, and Damar. Tom selected Ashley, Buddha, Luke, Monique, Jay, Sam, and finally, Stephanie.
Feeling pretty good about it. How about you?
I am too. You took two of my, top three in that second tier, and Ashley and Buddha. But I got two of my top, just to give you as. Actually, I don't want to tell you anything.
Yeah.
We might trade.
Yeah.
We might trade. I don't want to let you in on the draft room. No, you don't get to see the whiteboard after the fact.
I might have given away too much in this episode already about where I had certain contestants. But Leah, I mean, talk about a stunner. We said in the preview episode that it felt like she had a leg up on all the cheftestants because she was a TV cooking competition star. She had already been on Chopped. She had already been on Iron Chef. She had already been on several programs. She even had a food documentary, Kevin. And it seemed like she was going to have a leg up in this competition. But you know what? As it happens, injuries occur in the postseason, and sometimes you can't overcome.
Tom, she also had a bladder infection, so there's that.
That's what she had a bladder infection. She had a 101 fever. There was that awkward moment when she comes down and she's sitting on the couch. She's obviously feverish and cold. And Jay, just so bright and bubbly, coming over there and rubbing her shoulder and looking like she wants a hug. But you could tell that Leah was like, give me my space here. I'm pretty sick here. And then Jay was like, how are you? Oh, are you? I'm so sorry. And then she sits next to Leah, and Leah's just like, oh, like, come on, give me some space here. Do we need to pile into this couch like sardines? Poor Leah. She has a bladder infection, the fever. She powers through, and that was not a good dish. That was not a good dish. The steak was cut too thickly. It was chewy. I don't like the idea of an egg roll. It feels very, sorry, not an egg roll. Spring roll. It feels very like corporate lunchy on a Tuesday afternoon that they bring in some spring rolls from the local shop. I didn't love that, and nothing about that dish worked for the judges. And even with the infection, the fever, I still think there was a chance that she was going to hold on and maybe there would be some sympathy on this one. But Leah, the TV star, the cooking competition vet, goes home in episode 1, Kevin.
Yeah, it is a surprise. I mean, you and I both highlighted that as now that we are in sort of the food competition show industrial complex, that she is sort of right in the middle of it. We thought that would be an advantage, and it wasn't, which is interesting. I mean, perhaps Top Chef is just its own animal.
If you guys had done the draft before the first episode, how high would Leah have been on your boards?
Pretty high.
I think she might have been 1 or 2. For me, given her background and given the fact that she did beating Bobby Flay or whatever. She's done this circuit. So I'm stunned. She got sick. It happens, and you get sent home early. It happens to the best of the NBA teams or any team. The star player goes down, and sorry, you're out of the competition. So, yeah, I'm really excited after episode 1. Before we wrap up here, I do want to give a shout out to the listeners who have asked for the scoring rubric for this fantasy season. A lot of people are doing their drafts Here's where it stands. If you win the whole thing, you get 25 points. Okay. If you win the Top Chef, you get 25 points. In the elimination challenge, if you win, you get 10. If you're in the top 3, you get 5. In the middle, you get 2 points. If you're in the bottom 3, you don't get any points. No soup for you. You get 0 points. And if you're eliminated, you get a -5. Also, we give out points for a quick fire. If you win the quick fire, you get 3 points. And if you're in the top 3 or the top 4 or whatever, you get 1 additional point. Or I should say just 1 point. You don't get an additional point if you win the quick fire. To get 4 points, you just get 3. And then there's Last Chance Kitchen. If you survive Last Chance Kitchen, you get a point. And if you get eliminated, you get -1. So there you have it. The scoring system for the fantasy season. Yeah, Kevin, a really shocking episode. I thought Magical Elves did an amazing job of setting it up, kind of making you think that Robert doesn't have his things together. He drops the succotash. He's late to making his gnocchi, and then he puts out this brilliant dish. And wow, he goes number 1 in the draft. And the stats say, you're right. But my recency bias, my emotional fibers, were staying very far away from Robert.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be Spock on all this stuff. You know, Tom, I have some reservations about the season. Look, I always love Top Chef. I don't know how I feel about the field of candidates yet. I wasn't hooked by the cast the first time out. I can't tell you why, but I am obviously always excited as we move into season 19.
Did you have a sense that there was a villain at all?
I think possibly Luke, but I wouldn't say. Look, I'd like some villains.
Yeah,
for crying out loud. I mean, I think the show could benefit from some, if not even villains, just some real moxie. Like, to be honest with you, I don't want to hear people at the judges' table saying, "Oh, gee, everybody's talented. I didn't know," no. By the way, much respect to Sarah, who is on my team, but I think the show's gotten a little soft in recent years. I wouldn't mind a villain or two, and at the very least, just some really competent chefs who aren't going to shake your hand after the game, so to speak.
We need some malarkeys up in here. Give me some more malarkeys.
At least somebody who understands the pro wrestling aspect, who was willing to play the heel. And maybe that emerges. But I think that's my only critique of the show that I absolutely love. And even at its worst, it's the best thing going. But top friend. And I'm ready for a little more, the competition of the competition show. I'd love to see a little more of it. For Tom Habistro, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.